When people first started watching The Repair Shop, many expected a simple program about restoring old furniture, clocks, or antiques. But over time, audiences began to notice something deeper unfolding inside that small wooden barn. Among the many talented craftspeople, two figures stood out not just for their skills, but for the quiet and powerful connection they shared. Jay Blades, with his warm presence and uplifting laughter, and Suzie Fletcher, with her steady hands and calm energy, seemed to form a bond that went beyond the work in front of them. Viewers wrote letters, shared stories, and spoke about how much comfort they found in the way these two interacted. What made their friendship so special was not loud declarations or dramatic moments, but the opposite: their ability to create a safe space for each other and for everyone around them. Jay has now opened up about just how much Suzie means to him, and his words reveal the deeper truth behind what many fans had already sensed. Their story is not one of gossip or scandal, but of healing, patience, and trust. On the surface, The Repair Shop is about objects sold, broken items brought in by people who treasure them. But what makes the show so different from other reality programs is the human emotion tied to those objects. Each clock, painting, or teddy bear carries memories, often linked to family history, love, or loss. When the craftspeople restore them, they are not only repairing items, but also helping people reconnect with their pasts. Jay and Suzie became central to this magic because of how they embodied these same themes in their own lives. Both had faced struggles, both carried scars, and both had reasons to understand what it meant to feel broken. For Jay, the barn gave him a sense of belonging he had long craved. For Suzie, it became a place where she slowly began to heal after deep personal loss. The power of the show lies in this dual restoration, the fixing of objects and the quiet mending of people. Viewers across the world found comfort in this balance, and the bond between Jay and Suzie became one of the clearest symbols of that truth. Jay Blades did not come to The Repair Shop as a man who had lived an easy life. Born in Hackney, London, he grew up in an environment where hardship was part of everyday existence. Childhood trauma left marks that shaped his future, and for years he struggled with homelessness, financial insecurity, and mental health battles. There were moments when it seemed like his story might not have a happy ending. Yet through it all, one thing gave him stability: craft. Working with wood, repairing furniture, and using his hands to bring broken objects back to life became his lifeline. It was meditative, a way to find control in a world that often felt chaotic. When he eventually stepped into the barn of The Repair Shop, Jay discovered more than a workplace. He found a community and a sense of purpose. He has spoken openly about how the show gave him belonging, recognition, and healing. But what he did not expect was that it would also lead to a connection with someone who understood brokenness in her own way. Suzie Fletcher, unlike Jay, Suzie Fletcher's struggles were quieter but equally heavy. She had spent many years in the United States, where she built a life with her husband, but when he passed away, her world collapsed. Along with grief came the slow erosion of her confidence and identity. She withdrew, becoming quieter and more reserved. For a time, she struggled to find her place in the world again. In 2016, she decided to return to the UK, hoping that her craft in leatherwork and saddlery could help ground her once more. Her brother Steve Fletcher was already part of the Repair Shop team, and through him she found her way into the barn. At first, she was hesitant about appearing on camera. The idea of being watched, of having her every move recorded, was intimidating. But what she discovered was that the barn was not about performing for the cameras. It was about community, care, and quiet healing. Slowly, through her craft, she rebuilt her confidence. And quietly, through her interactions with Jay and others, she began to find herself again. The bond between Jay and Suzie did not happen in one dramatic moment. It grew gradually, in the small, ordinary rhythm of working side by side. While Jay brought laughter, warmth, and a sense of leadership to the barn, Suzie balanced it with calmness, patience, and quiet strength. Together, they created harmony that others in the barn could feel, even if viewers only saw glimpses of it on screen. Jay never pressured Suzie, never forced her into the spotlight, but instead gave her the steady space she needed. For someone still carrying grief, this was invaluable. In turn, Suzie offered Jay something just as important: stability. After years of chaos, her presence reminded him of balance and peace. Their bond was not about romance or spectacle. It was about two people recognizing resilience in each other. Their quiet trust became one of the unspoken foundations of the repair shop. What makes the connection between Jay and Suzie so powerful is not just how it helped them personally, but how it touched viewers across the world. Letters poured in from people who said that watching The Barn gave them comfort in difficult times. Some shared stories of grief and loss, saying that seeing Suzie's quiet strength gave them hope. Others spoke about how Jay's laughter and kindness reminded them that life could still feel light even after hardships. For many, The Barn itself became a form of therapy, a safe space to visit each week, where brokenness was not something to be ashamed of, but something to be gently cared for. Viewers felt that if Jay and Suzie could keep going after their struggles, they too could believe in healing and new beginnings. In a world filled with loud, dramatic television, the soft, gentle rhythm of the repair shop and the bond at its heart stood out as something truly unique. The most beautiful part of Jay and Suzie's story is how it shows that restoration is not just about objects, but about people. Every antique that entered the barn carried a human story. And in restoring those items, the craftspeople honored those stories. In much the same way, Jay and Suzie were quietly restoring themselves and each other. Jay has described how the barn gave him purpose and allowed him to turn scars into strength. Suzie, through the encouragement of colleagues like Jay, rediscovered her voice and confidence after years of grief. Together, they showed that healing often happens not through dramatic gestures but through small, steady acts of care. Their bond became proof that no matter how broken life feels, it is never truly beyond repair. Today, when people think of the repair shop, they don't just remember the beautiful restorations of objects, they remember the way the show made them feel. And central to that feeling is the quiet bond between Jay Blades and Suzie Fletcher. Their friendship has become a symbol of resilience, patience, and trust. It shows that healing is possible even after loss, that strength can be found in unexpected places, and that sometimes the most powerful connections are unspoken. As Jay himself has now revealed, Suzie was not just a colleague but someone who deeply shaped his journey of healing. And for Suzie, Jay's presence offered the space she needed to rebuild her confidence. Their legacy within the barn is not only about craftsmanship but about reminding the world that restoration is always possible for objects and for people. Jay's life before the repair shop is a powerful reminder of how resilience can change a person's path. Growing up in Hackney, London, Jay faced many struggles from an early age. His childhood was marked by hardship, and the environment around him was not always supportive or safe. These experiences left deep scars, both emotionally and mentally, which followed him into adulthood. There were times when he found himself without a stable home, even sleeping rough, and wondering if he would ever find his place in the world. At his lowest points, he battled mental health challenges that made daily life feel overwhelming. Yet, throughout all of this, one thing kept him grounded: craft. Jay discovered that when he worked with his hands, he could find a sense of calm and focus. Sanding down wood, repairing broken chairs, and restoring furniture became more than just jobs, they became lifelines. Each small victory in the workshop was a way of reminding himself that brokenness did not mean the end. This philosophy shaped his outlook when he later joined the repair shop. When Jay speaks now about his life, he often describes the barn as the place where all the scattered pieces of his journey finally came together. It gave him community, purpose, and healing at a time when he needed it most. His story is living proof that even in the darkest moments, there can be light if we keep moving forward. Suzie's journey to the repair shop was also shaped by personal hardship, but of a different kind. She spent many years living in the United States, where she built a life with her husband. Their relationship was filled with love, and for a long time, It seemed as if they had a future filled with promise. But when her husband became ill and eventually passed away, Suzie's world shattered. Grief consumed her, leaving her feeling both lost and disconnected from the person she had once been. Not only had she lost her partner, but her confidence and sense of self began to fade. She became quieter, more withdrawn, and unsure of where life would take her next. Returning to the UK in 2016 was both a practical and emotional decision. She wanted to be closer to her family, especially her brother Steve, who was already part of the repair shop team. At the same time, she hoped that reconnecting with her craft saddlery and leatherwork would provide her with some form of stability. When she first stepped into the barn, she did so cautiously. The thought of being filmed and seen by millions was intimidating. But what she found was not a stage, but a community. The barn wasn't about performance, it was about care and restoration. Slowly, through each stitch, each saddle, each careful piece of work, Suzie began to rebuild herself. The cameras became less frightening, and the supportive atmosphere helped her rediscover confidence she thought she had lost forever behind the cameras. The barn of the repair shop became more than just a set, it became a sanctuary. For the cast and crew, it was a place where people felt safe to bring not only their skills, but also their true selves. Crew members have often spoken about how the environment felt like family, built not on obligation, but on genuine care for one another. Suzie, who had once been hesitant and quiet, slowly found herself smiling more, opening up, and growing into her role. Jay, who had carried the heavy weight of his past, seemed lighter within those walls, surrounded by people who understood him. Together, Jay and Suzie contributed to this atmosphere of trust. Their bond was never about dramatic gestures, but about the quiet presence they gave each other. This sense of family extended to the viewers as well. Audiences watching at home felt as though they were stepping into a safe space each time they tuned in. In a world filled with noise, conflict, and fast-paced reality shows, the repair shop offered something profoundly different. It was calm, healing, and deeply human. This is why viewers often say that watching the show feels like therapy. It isn't just about watching antiques being fixed, it's about being reminded that brokenness, whether in objects or in people, can always be gently repaired with patience and care. Cultural impact and global reach. The impact of Jay and Suzie's presence on the repair shop extends far beyond the walls of the barn. In today's entertainment world, reality television often thrives on conflict, competition, and drama. Yet this show, with its gentle pace and focus on kindness, managed to stand out and capture the hearts of millions. The bond between Jay and Suzie symbolized exactly why the program resonated so deeply. It showed that television did not need to be loud to be powerful. Fans from across the world have shared stories of how the show helped them through grief, loneliness, or difficult times. Some said that watching Suzie quietly stitch leather gave them strength to face their own losses. Others said that Jay's laughter and encouragement reminded them that resilience was possible, even after hardship. For many, the show became more than entertainment. It became a form of comfort, a weekly reminder that healing is possible. In this way, the repair shop has created a cultural shift, proving that audiences are hungry for stories rooted in compassion, patience, and human connection. What makes Jay and Suzie's bond so powerful is not just what it meant for them personally, but what it teaches viewers about life. Their connection is a reminder that healing doesn't happen overnight. It isn't dramatic or fast, it's slow, sometimes painful, but always possible. Jay's journey shows that no matter how broken or discarded you may feel, there is always a chance to rebuild. His scars, both emotional and physical, became symbols of strength rather than weakness. Suzie's story shows that grief, while overwhelming, does not define a person forever. With patience, community, and care, confidence and joy can return. Together, their bond illustrates that healing often happens not through big words or actions, but through quiet presence, through showing up again and again for each other. For viewers, this is a powerful lesson. It tells us that no matter what we face, loss, hardship, or uncertainty, there is always hope for restoration. just as there is always hope for a broken object to be repaired. As time passes, and the repair